The life you dream about is always waiting on the other side of effort. Think about that for a moment. Everyone has dreams. Everyone has hopes. Everyone wants to succeed. But wanting success is common. Working for it is not. And that is where everything starts to change. That is the line between wishing and achieving. The gap between dreaming and becoming. The space between being average and becoming exceptional. Most people spend their time waiting. Waiting to feel motivated. Waiting for the right chance. Waiting for the perfect moment. But people who succeed understand something very important. That perfect moment almost never shows up. You have to build it yourself, and you build it through work. Not random effort, not easy effort, but hard work. Consistent work. Focused work. Success is not random. It is not luck. It is not magic. It is the result of discipline and effort. Listen closely. There comes a time in life when you must choose. Will you keep making excuses, or will you start making progress? Because your future does not belong to the most talented person. It belongs to the one who keeps going when others stop, who studies when others relax, who continues when others quit. Think about your goals, the ones that keep you awake at night, the dreams that stay in your heart no matter what, the future you believe you can build. Those goals are not free. Everything valuable has a cost, and that cost is effort. That cost is discipline. That cost is consistency. That cost is becoming stronger than your excuses. Most people want the reward, but very few want the responsibility that comes with it. But you cannot separate the two. The reward comes after the responsibility. The harvest comes after planting. Success comes after work. Do not wish life was easier. Wish you were better. That is how winners think. They do not ask life to be simple. They ask themselves to become stronger, more focused, more disciplined, and more committed. Every day, you have a choice. You can stay the same, or you can improve. You can settle, or you can push forward. You can make excuses, or you can make progress. And those small decisions, repeated daily, eventually shape your entire life. Now imagine where you could be 1 year from now if you worked harder than ever before, if you stayed committed, if you refused to give up, if you gave your best every single day. Your life could look completely different, not because of luck, not because someone helped you, but because you chose to put in the work. We are going to look at why hard work is still the base of success, why discipline often beats talent, why consistency builds greatness, and why your future depends on what you choose to do today. Because great lives are not built on big wishes. They are built on strong effort. Work harder, stay focused, stay disciplined, become the person your dreams are waiting for. Let me ask you something. What really separates one person from another? Why do some people move forward while others stay stuck in the same place for years? Is it luck? Some people think so. Is it talent? Talent helps, but it is never enough on its own. The real difference is often simple. One person is willing to do just a little more work, a little more preparation, a little more learning, a little more discipline. And over time, that small extra becomes something big. Success is simply a few basic disciplines, practiced every day. Think about that. Not huge changes, not impossible habits, just simple actions repeated again and again. That is where success begins. Most people do what is required, just enough to get by, just enough to stay comfortable. But successful people build a different habit. They go beyond what is expected, and that extra effort changes everything. Life has a way of rewarding people who do more than the minimum. Not right away, not instantly, but over time, the reward comes. Think about a farmer. The crops do not grow the day after the seeds are planted. There is work involved. There is patience. There is care. But the farmer keeps going. Why? Because he understands a simple rule of life. You get what you plant. And often, you get even more. The same rule applies to success. Every extra hour spent learning, every extra page you read, every extra effort you make when no one is watching. All of it adds up slowly, day by day, year by year, until one day, people notice. Then they call it luck. But you know the truth. It was effort. It was discipline. It was doing more than what was required.
Do not wish it was easier. Wish you were better. Because wishing changes nothing. Growth changes everything. And growth requires effort.
Here is something important to understand. That extra effort is not always seen. Many times, no one notices. No one claps. No one praises you. No one sees what you sacrifice. But that does not mean it is wasted. In fact, those unseen efforts are often the most valuable because they are shaping who you are becoming. Success is not only about what you get, it is also about who you become. Every time you push past your comfort, you become stronger, more disciplined, more capable, more valuable. The world rewards value, not intentions, not potential, value. And value grows when you put in extra effort. Imagine two people starting at the same place, same chances, same abilities. One does only what is needed. The other does a little extra every day. Who will be ahead after 5 years? The answer is clear. The gap may start small, but it grows over time because extra effort builds on itself. That is what many people do not understand. Success is rarely one big moment. It is usually small actions repeated over time. Small choices, small improvements. The person who reads 10 pages daily, the person who practices a bit longer, the person who stays focused more often. They may not seem different today, but give it time. The difference becomes clear. Average effort leads to average results. That is not criticism. It is simply reality. If you want outstanding results, you must be willing to give outstanding effort. That does not mean burning yourself out. It means giving your best. It means refusing to accept average. It means asking yourself one simple question. Can I do a little more?
But a little more learning, a little more preparation, a little more discipline, a little more persistence.
Those small extras create powerful results. That is the real secret. Not luck, not magic, effort. Every successful person learns this sooner or later. Rewards are rarely given for doing the minimum. They are given for going beyond. The extra mile, the extra hour, the extra preparation, the extra discipline. And here is the good part. Most people are not willing to do it. That means the opportunity is open for you. You do not have to be the smartest. You do not have to be the most talented. You just need to be willing to do more than average. Remember this, effort gets noticed. Life notices it. The world notices it. And sooner or later, rewards follow. Not instantly, but surely.
Because success has always rewarded those who give more than expected. And if you make that your habit, your future will never be average.
Let me share something that separates winners from others. It is not intelligence. It is not talent. It is not even opportunity. It is when they choose to put in the work. Most people want success, but they also want comfort. They want results without struggle. They want achievement without sacrifice. But life does not respond to comfort. It responds to effort. Discipline is often tested in quiet moments when no one is watching, when no one is cheering, when no one is competing. That is where the real difference is made. Average people choose comfort. They rest when they should work. They delay when they should act. They wait for the perfect time. But successful people see things differently. There is no perfect time. There is only time and how you use it. Every day, your mind is giving you instructions. Sometimes it says, do the work. Other times it says, maybe tomorrow. Sometimes it pushes you forward. Sometimes it pulls you backward. And the direction of your life depends on which voice you choose to follow. Most people want success. They want a better future, better health, better finances, better opportunities. But wanting is every hour matters. Morning, afternoon, night. But those who rise above average learn to use the hours others waste. While others sleep, they prepare. While others get distracted, they build. While others rest too long, they quietly work on their future. Not for attention, not for praise, but with purpose. Do not wish it was easier. Wish you were better, because better people use time wisely. They do not ask if something is easy. They ask if it is necessary. And if it is, they do it. Understand this clearly. The world does not reward busy people. It rewards productive people. And productivity is often found in quiet hours. Early mornings, late nights, calm moments. Those times are powerful because they are free from distraction and full of opportunity. Most people do not realize how much can be done in those hours. A little learning, a little planning, a little discipline, a little extra effort. Over time, that becomes a huge advantage. Think about it. If you work while others rest, you are not just working more. You are creating distance between yourself and average life. And that distance grows every day. One day people will see your results. They will call it luck, but they will not see the nights you stayed up, the mornings you woke up early, the discipline no one noticed. They only see the result, not the sacrifice. But you will know the truth. You will know what it cost. You will know what you gave up. You will know the quiet effort that built everything. And that creates something powerful. Real confidence, not fake confidence. Earned confidence. Because when you work while others rest, you send yourself a message. You are serious. You are committed. You are building something meaningful. And that belief changes everything. Now understand this clearly. Rest is not the enemy. Laziness is. Rest is needed. But avoiding work is risky. Because every time you choose comfort that is not needed, you slow your progress. And success delayed for too long can become success lost. So remember this rule. Work when others rest. Not because you hate comfort, but because you value your future more than temporary ease. In the end, the people who change their lives are not always the most gifted. They are the ones who made a different choice. When others stopped, they kept going. When others rested, they worked. And over time, that choice changed everything. Let me say something very simple, but very powerful. Your life will not change until your work ethic changes. Not your dreams, not your wishes, not your intentions, your work. Success is not something you chase. It is something you draw in by the person you become. And the person you become is shaped by how hard you are willing to work every day, every moment, every effort. Most people want better results, but they are not willing to give more effort. They want more success with the same amount of work. That is not how life works. Life responds to intensity. Life responds to effort. Life responds to energy used in the right direction. If you raise your effort, your results rise too. It is that simple. Think about this. Two people begin at the same point, same chance, same potential. But one decides, I will work harder than ever. Not once, not sometimes, every single day. That decision changes everything. Because effort adds up, just like interest in a bank account. Small daily gains become huge differences over time. Let me ask you this. What happens when you stop doing just enough and start doing more than enough? You separate yourself from average, from ordinary, from the competition. Most people live at the lowest level possible. Minimum effort, minimum discipline, minimum focus. Just enough to survive, not enough to grow, not enough to stand out, not enough to rise. But successful people raise the bar. They do not ask, is this enough? They ask, can I do more? Can I go farther? Can I push harder? And that mindset changes everything. Do not wish it was easier. Wish you were better, because better always wins. Better habits, better discipline, better focus, better effort. Now listen carefully. Hard work is not punishment. Hard work is power. It is what turns potential into reality. It is the bridge between where you are and where you want to be. Without hard work, dreams stay dreams. Ideas stay ideas. Plans stay plans. But with hard work, things begin to move. Things begin to change. Things begin to grow. There will be days when it feels heavy. Days when your energy is low. Days when nothing seems to move. But those are not the days to slow down. Those are the days to push harder, because that is where growth happens. Let me be clear. The world does not reward comfort. It rewards contribution. And contribution takes effort. Steady effort. Focused effort. Strong effort. If you work harder than ever, something powerful grows inside you. Confidence, not the kind you say out loud, the kind you earn, the kind that cannot be taken away. Every time you push yourself, every time you refuse to quit, every time you go beyond comfort, you build proof. Proof that you can do it. Proof that you are strong. Proof that you are becoming more. And that proof becomes belief. Belief becomes identity. Identity becomes your future. So understand this clearly. Working harder is not only about doing more, it is about becoming more. Stronger, faster, wiser, more disciplined, more valuable. And in the end, that is what success really is. Not luck, not shortcuts, not timing, but the result of someone who decided to work harder than ever and never stopped. Let me tell you something that can quietly ruin a life. It is not failure. It is not lack of talent. It is not even hard circumstances. It is something more dangerous, blaming circumstances. Success is just a few simple disciplines done every day. And discipline begins with one strong decision. Taking responsibility, not for everything that happens to you, but for everything you become because of it. It is easy to look at life and say, I did not have the chance. I did not have support. I did not have the right conditions. And maybe some of that is true. But here is the question that matters more. What are you doing with what you do have? Because circumstances will never be perfect. Never. Something will always be missing. Something will always be unfair. Something will always be hard. That is life. But successful people see it differently. They do not wait for perfect conditions. They make progress inside imperfect ones. Do not wish it was easier. Wish you were better, Because better people do not depend on circumstances. They adapt to them. They rise inside them. They grow through them. Now listen carefully. Every time you blame something outside yourself, you give away power. Power to change, power to grow, power to improve.
And once that power is gone, you get stuck. Not because you cannot move, but because you believe you cannot move. That is the real cost of blaming circumstances.
It does not just slow you down. It blocks your thinking. It weakens your effort. It shrinks your vision. Let me ask you something. What happens when someone says, "It is not my fault, so it is not my job"? They stop improving. They stop trying. They stop pushing. Because responsibility is the engine of change. Life does not respond to excuses. It responds to action. Not reasons, not stories, not excuses. Action. And action starts the moment you say, "Maybe I cannot control everything, but I can control me." That is the turning point. That is where life begins to shift. Think about successful people. They do not waste time fighting reality. They work with it. They adjust. They move. They figure it out. Because they know one simple truth. You may not be able to change circumstances right away, but you can change yourself right away. And when you change yourself, circumstances begin to change with you. Slowly, then steadily, then completely. But blame does the opposite. It keeps you focused on what is outside your control. It drains your energy. It builds frustration. And it creates a cycle of helplessness. Here is the truth many people avoid. The longer you blame circumstances, the longer you stay where you are. Because blame feels like relief. But it also creates delay. If you are not willing to take the unusual path, you will be left with the ordinary one. And ordinary life often starts with ordinary thinking. Thinking that says, "This is just how my life is." But life is not fixed. Life is shaped, and you are the one doing the shaping. Taking responsibility does not mean life was fair. It means you are strong enough to respond anyway. It means you refuse to let circumstances decide your future. It means you choose effort over excuses. At the end of the day, you may not control where you begin, but you absolutely control what you do next. And what you do next changes everything. So here's the lesson. Stop blaming circumstances. Start building strength. Stop pointing outward. Start improving inward. Stop explaining your situation. Start changing your situation. Because the moment you take full responsibility, you take back your power. And once your power comes back, your life starts moving forward again. Let me say something very simple, but very powerful. Success does not always go to the fastest. It does not always go to the smartest. It does not always go to the most talented. It goes to the one who stays, the one who endures, the one who outlasts everyone else. Success is just a few simple disciplines practiced every day. And the most important discipline of all is this: do not quit. Not when it gets hard. Not when it gets slow. Not when it gets quiet. Do not quit. Many people start with strong energy. They're excited. They have big dreams. But somewhere along the way, that energy fades. The excitement disappears. The progress slows down. And that is where most people stop. But the real test begins after the excitement is gone. That is where winners are made. That is where character is tested. That is where the future is decided. Do not wish it was easier. Wish you were better. Because better people do not stop when things get hard. They keep going. They adjust. They persist. Now think about this. Every goal in life takes time. Not instant time, not easy time, real time. And most people underestimate that. They think success is a single moment, but success is a process, a long one. And in that process, there will be delays. There will be setbacks. There will be confusion. There will be times when nothing seems to work. But those moments are not signs to quit. They are tests of endurance. Anyone can work when results are visible. Anyone can stay excited when progress is fast. But can you keep going when nothing has happened yet? Can you stay committed when results are silent? Can you keep working when nobody is watching? That is the real question. And that is where most people fall behind. Not because they cannot do it, but because they do not stay long enough. They do not trust the process long enough. They do not endure long enough. But the ones who stay, the ones who continue, the ones who refuse to quit, they eventually reach a place others never see, because time always reveals the truth. Life has a quiet rule. The ones who stay the longest win the most, not right away, but eventually. Success is not something you chase. It is something you attract by the person you become. And you become that person by staying in the fight day after day, even when it is hard, even when it is slow, even when it feels like nothing is happening. Because every day you keep going, you build something invisible: strength, discipline, patience, and resilience. And those are the things that separate winners from everyone else. Understand this clearly. Outlasting others is not about beating them. It is about refusing to quit on yourself. It is about staying loyal to your path. It is about continuing when others choose to stop. Many people will start the same journey as you. Some will move faster, some will be louder, some will be more talented. But most of them will not stay. And that is your advantage. If you stay, you pass the people who quit. If you continue, you move ahead of the people who stop. If you endure, you rise above the people who give up. Over time, that gap becomes too big to close, because consistency over time always beats short bursts of effort. Always. Your future is not decided by how fast you begin. It is decided by how long you continue. And if you decide today to stay in the game, to keep working, to keep improving, to keep moving forward, then one day you will look back and see something powerful. You did not just try. You did not just start. You outlasted everyone. And that is why you won. I will leave you with one final thought. Everything in this message comes down to one simple truth. Work harder than ever. Not for a moment, not for one season, but as a way of life. Because success is not built on motivation. It is built on discipline. It is built on repetition. It is built on effort that never stops. Success is just a few simple disciplines practiced every day. And those disciplines separate an average life from a meaningful one. You do not need perfect conditions. You do not need perfect timing. You do not need perfect talent. You need consistency. You need effort. You need the willingness to keep going. Because in the end, it is not always the strongest who succeed first. It is not always the smartest who win easily. It is the ones who refuse to quit, the ones who keep working, the ones who outlast everyone. So take this message seriously, not just as motivation, but as direction, a way to live, a way to think, a way to work. And if you follow it, if you truly decide to work harder than ever, then your future will not be ordinary. It will be built by discipline. It will be shaped by effort. And it will be earned through consistency. Stay focused. Stay disciplined. And never stop working on yourself. Because the life you want is built by what you do when nobody is watching.